What's up, bro? Welcome back to Cancel Thoughts. It's your boy, Better Days here. There are things in our society that are considered controversial nowadays that I think are just very, very stupid and no-brainer things for us to even be disagreeing about. But the biggest one to me is the whole transgenderism debate. And very recently, Bill Maher went on the Pod Save America podcast where he kind of talked about this and they got into a bit of a back and forth about it that I want to show you guys really quickly. But before we get into it, you guys already know I'm about to ask you guys to do me a solid and hit that like and subscribe button for more content. I'm trying to make sure as many people find this channel as possible. And the only way I'm going to do that is with you guys' help.
I got to my card that says trans. Let's talk about it. The position, look, other countries have national health services. The Democratic position is leave it up to parents, doctors. Just leave. It's not the government's decision. That's the Democratic position. What's wrong with that position?
Wait, say that again?
The Democratic position, right? Joe Biden.
The Democratic position in this state has been that the school has the right to hide it from the parents. That is something that is not going to go well with the average voter. And again, I'm not even a parent, and I get it.
Mm-hmm. How do you not even get it? And one of the things that I have an issue with is anybody who is on the left who is really trying to have this debate, who is an advocate for it, they most of the time don't even approach this conversation in good faith. For you to not necessarily know this, and I'm pretty sure this films in California, for you to not know what the position is in your own state, to try to kind of represent it as just this compassionate thing where the government just wants parents and children to be able to make this decision. To me, you're not approaching it in good faith, and you're either ignorant to the notion or
you're lying.
And both of those things to me are just completely like, you can't even have this conversation if you don't have all of the variables to it. And I'm pretty sure this person has all the variables to it and doesn't necessarily want to talk about it because you know it's a losing argument.
Okay. I think the governor here used the word snitch. Now, if I'm wrong, I didn't say it.
So
I think I read that.
So there are delicate problems here. But wait, there's delicate problems here, and there's a delicate problem where you have a kid, all right, who is either non-binary or trans, who feels scared at home, feels unsafe at home. Those things do happen in the world. There are things that happen in the world. But for the most part, that's not what we're talking about.
All of these kids that you're saying are non-binary or trans or whatever, no, these are children that are just confused. They don't know what's going on, and you guys are feeding them this nonsense, and they're going with it. And later on, there are some of them that are coming out and regretting the decisions that they made and looking at their parents like, why didn't you stop me? And in your state, like he just articulated there, they're hiding it from the parents. For adults to try to have this conversation and try to package it up as compassion for these children, to me, you're just so stupid that I don't get it whatsoever. It's like, we're just trying to be compassionate and help these children figure out their lives. No, if these people want to be transgender or whatever, sure, they should have the right to do that. Once they turn 18 and are legally an adult and can make that decision knowing full well the ramifications of it. Before they turn 18, and to me personally, I think 18 is a very, very young age. I would be in favor of being 21 or even 24 or 25 before you start making those decisions. But if you want to make it 18,
have at it.
But to make those decisions before 18, to me, it should be criminal for anybody to even allow that. And it should be criminal for any doctor to even perform those procedures.
For the most part, what we're talking about is a teenager who has felt that they have a gender dysmorphia. So what they feel like is that they feel deeply unhappy, depression, all really rampant.
Yes,
and they go to their parents.
They feel that, and then they blame it on the thing that has been put in their mind way too much, that it may be because of you're in the wrong body.
Mm-hmm. And that is completely stupid. I'm sure everybody remembers when they were going through puberty. You felt all of these things too. It wasn't appropriate for you to then feel those things and start taking hormones and then deciding to change your body parts or whatever. It's just to not even understand that there's a financial incentive from some of these pharmaceutical companies to do this just proves how stupid some of you guys are. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Everybody went through puberty at some point in life. Everybody felt uncomfortable in their bodies.
It's just a phase.
You grow out of that completely. To start telling children that they're in the wrong body and they should make these irreversible decisions in most cases, to me, is just, you're an evil person.
To put it probably wrongly, but
sure,
that we understand what that means. Okay. Now, it could be that case. When Trump said there's only two sexes, again, pendulum swinging way too far to stupidity, okay? Obviously, sex is more complicated than just two sexes. There are people who absolutely, are quote unquote in the wrong body. But when you're a kid, when even a teenager, and you're that confused about everything and you have no idea and you're upset for many other reasons, the idea that they put it, let me just finish.
What is stupid about saying that there are two genders and two sexes? Male, female, man, woman. What's stupid about that? When you start trying to add all of these other genders and all of these other sexes or whatever, all you do is confuse people. And then when you add the extra layer of children into that, all you're doing is confusing little children who have no clue what is going on. All they're doing is expecting the adults in their lives to be able to steer them down the right path. And what you guys are doing in most cases is not that. It's actually quite the opposite.
Not saying it.
I know. I could see you were ready. I could see you pulling back the bow. And the fact that they put this in their head too much, that's my thing. Should you tell a kid, look, there's a default setting for humans, male and female, but there are variations. That's absolutely true. Some people are attracted to people of their own sex, and some people are actually in the quote-unquote wrong body, and that does happen. But the amount that they emphasize this. I compared it once on my show to entrapment.
I don't think you should tell children that. I think adults should be told that. And if adults want to make that decision knowing full well the potential consequences of it, they should be able to do that. But telling children that, listen, when you let their parents have these conversations with them, let their parents be the ones to expose them to this stuff if they want to. Stop trying to be the arbiters of all that is good and just in your mind, because it's not necessarily the case.
So
see, there you go.
I disagree. I'm sorry. Is that not the end? Is it?
No,
I thought entrapment had a period at the end.
Could I explain it?
Yes,
though?
explain. I mean, I think we all get it, but yeah, explain it. Entrapment.
I don't think everybody does get it.
Okay, explain it.
Okay. Well, what is entrapment? Entrapment is when you suggest something to people that they weren't ordinarily going to do. I used the example of after 9/11. The FBI got caught basically entrapping some people, which is what they went to people who were, excuse me, I'm not done.
All right, I'm sorry. You're right. You're right. Honestly, that was rude. That was rude. That's
another issue that I have with a lot of these people when you have some of these debates is they believe that if they just stop you from talking and they just yell over you all the time, that automatically means they're right. And they don't necessarily understand that the more you guys yell and the more you are just belligerent about some of your points.
You look incredibly stupid.
That was rude. Bill, finish. You're explaining how being trans is like being recruited into Al-Qaeda.
Well, that's glib and
absolutely 100% glib. Stupid and glib.
It is.
Yes.
Because it's not true.
Right.
And you didn't even let me get through the
You're
thing.
right.
And now I got to go.
You're just going to leave? We're in the middle of a debate.
Yeah. No. Okay. I'll finish this.
You're not even listening to anything he's saying. You're just listening to respond. And I wouldn't have been upset if he'd actually gotten up and left there, because some of these conversations that you have with a lot of these people, it's not had in good faith, guys. It's just not. All they want you to do is say, okay, I agree with you. And whenever you try to challenge them in any small way, shape, or form, they'll just try to retreat into their cocoons and they'll just stop even listening to you.
Entrapment. Okay, so they go to somebody, they go to a group of guys. They did this in a group of poor black guys in Miami and were unhappy with America. And, hey, wouldn't it be great if we blew up the Sears Tower in Chicago? And these guys didn't even have a gun. And it's like, yeah, I hate America, or I got problems with America. That does sound kind of cool. And, hey, well, we can get you the explosives. That's entrapment. Okay, you put an idea in people's heads that wouldn't have been there otherwise. Do I think in most of America they did that in schools? I don't. But I think in enough of them, in enough far left places, they did constantly have this idea in the minds of children that maybe you're not in the right body. I mean, the New England Journal of Medicine advocated for taking sex off of a birth certificate, I believe. It was like you're assigned sex at birth.
Yeah.
You're assigned.
I think that's right.
I was assigned it by my dick, okay, when I was born. Yes, and again, to tell kids it doesn't always have to be and isn't always the default setting, but that's a different mentality than they put in the minds of kids. And that's why this debate goes on. And the fact that you think, or a lot of people on the left think that even if you just have this debate, it makes you a bigot. You just have to roll over. That was, you asked about the Biden administration. That was their position. If you even question this, you're some sort of a bigot. And this is new science, and it has to do with children. And it's not going to look good in the future, that position.
Can I just respond?
And I completely agree with everything Bomar just said there. It's not going to agree with people. Listen, there are people who are on the left right now who are traditional, let's call it liberals, who look at this stuff and are just bewildered by it. For anybody who doesn't necessarily know, Bill Maher is a leftist. When you're having a conversation with another leftist and he's telling you essentially what 80 to 90% of Americans think, and you're just sitting there trying to argue this point, yo, you've lost the plot, bro. You guys are losing a lot of people, and if you guys don't stop, I don't necessarily know what to tell you guys, yo. You guys are just going to keep losing election after election. A lot of people like me who used to be firmly on the left have just started to move over. Now, we're not necessarily on the right either, but we're smack dab in the middle, and we will vote for whoever we see fit because we don't necessarily have a home right now or any loyalty to anybody, and that's because you guys, and I forget who it was that said, I think it was Andrew Schultz that said this, but it's just a representation of the fact that you guys are completely reluctant to call out the absurd things. You guys will say it affects 1% of the population or whatever. That might be true, but that's not what a lot of people are having a problem with. A lot of people are having a problem with the fact that this is an indication of the fact that you guys are just completely against calling out the absurd. And that's an issue that everybody sees manifest itself in a whole lot of different arenas outside of just this whole LGBTQ stuff.
On to some,
Now you can.
Now I can respond. All right. Can you just All right. Let's just do. There's a lot. You definitely said your piece.
Just say your bullshit while I'm in the bathroom.
Just stay for 1 second.
Okay, I'm kidding.
Unbelievable.
I'm kidding.
All right. No, I know. Okay. A lot of things there. First of all, this is going to sound confrontational. For a long time, people said, older gay people are recruiting kids to be gay. And they wouldn't really be gay. It was they were being recruited, they were being groomed, that they were being drawn. That was the conservative position. The Christian right position for a long time was the reason you didn't want to have gay teachers is they're going to recruit. That the gay lifestyle is going to look so enticing and so exciting that it's going to bring these poor defenseless boys, they mostly boys, into the gay lifestyle and destroy their lives. But of course that wasn't true. Really, all gay teachers were an example.
Right. Yeah.
Look, there are a few examples of people getting older and realizing that they shouldn't have transitioned. That happens. It's real. That's real.
Yeah, more than a few.
But there are also really important surgeries that people get for their heart, and they go wrong, and somebody dies.
Did this man really just try to compare being transgender and choosing to essentially start taking hormones and undergo all these surgeries to having life-altering surgeries like heart condition surgeries where if you don't get them, you could die?
Really, nigga?
To me, again, you're just having this conversation in bad faith. And going back to what he was saying there, one of the issues that I have with this whole debate is that you can't stay on your topic to prove your point. You have to draw on examples from other things. When you try to compare transgenderism to homosexuality, it is not the same. And one of the biggest issues that I think I have and a lot of people have with this whole thing is that, guys, for the whole LGBT movement, the biggest hindrance to your movement progressing is T. LG and B, a lot of people understand it. There's a logical conclusion to how you get there. When you get to T, that's when you cross the line to insanity.
Something ain't right.
Everybody knows it and everybody kind of just tries to skirt around it. And I know there's a lot of you guys in those communities of LG and B who also feel the same way, who just don't necessarily want to come out against T because you feel like they're also a minority that's discriminated against. But what I'm telling you guys, it is undermining the credibility of your entire movement when you guys don't talk about it. T, LG, and B are not the same thing, okay? LG and B have a lot more in common with each other because of their sexual orientation. When you start adding T to it, people start looking at all of you guys like you're insane. And I don't blame them.
And nobody says we must stop the cardiologists. No one says we must stop the surgeons. We say, let's...
That's your analogy?
Well, my analogy is only that... Wait, let me finish.
I'm just
Can I finish?
Yes.
Is it my turn to talk?
No, you're right.
And what you say is, let's make sure that this version of it is being practiced well. We don't get rid of the specific surgery. We don't throw out a whole field of medicine. We say, let's make sure we're doing it in a way that's healthy. The science, the research, all right, makes clear that, yes, there are exceptions. Yes, there are people practicing it in ways that maybe go too far. But for the most part, Study after study shows that gender affirming care saves. I'm talking. It's my turn. I was so quiet for so long after I interrupted
Well,
a
you
few
weren't,
times.
but okay.
But once I stopped talking, boy, I was good at it.
Who was saying let's get rid of the surgeries? All people are saying is stop telling their kids about it. Everyone has maintained the position of if you're an adult, you can do whatever you want with your body. You can do whatever you take, whatever pills you want, live your life however you want, so long as it doesn't infringe on the freedoms of anybody else. Who was saying that to get rid of the surgeries? I don't necessarily understand. Like, bro, these people they have no point, and they'll try to just like reach in different like directions to try to make a point that isn't necessarily there.
And that gender affirming care saves a lot of lives. And the truth is, we talk about these edge cases, talk about athletes, talk about locker rooms, but for the most part, what we're talking about is a very small group of people that just want the opportunity to live and express themselves. And there is a war on that group of people from the right to make salient extreme cases, edge cases, not for the purposes of stopping those, but for doing what the Trump administration is doing entirely, which is stopping all gender affirming care altogether and making trans people fucking nervous when they have to pee at the airport.
Nobody is doing that. Again, all of that he just said there is completely fallacious. Nobody cares. All he's saying is that the government shouldn't be subsidizing it. If you want to pay for it out of your own pocket, you should be allowed to do that. And if a surgeon wants to do the operation for you, he should be allowed to do that as well, or she, by the way. But no one is saying that you shouldn't be allowed to do that. And another thing that I want to go back on is this notion that a lot of these people, they try to package this stuff as gender affirming care, or it's just this compassion that we have for people. Let's call it what it is, guys. You guys are mutilating people. You're mutilating children. Stop calling it gender affirming care. That's not what it is. All you're doing is carving people up and doing surgeries. Call it exactly what it is and stop trying to market it and package it as something that you guys are doing for compassion reasons, because that's not what it is. It's a business for a lot of people, and it's a lot of people being taken advantage of into believing that this is what they should do.
Right? Which is the end result of all this.
And of course, that's awful, and I agree with all that, except the part about the studies. There was a very big story this year. It was in the front page of the New York Times. Mm-hmm. A woman, I forget her name, and she had done, like, it was a 10-year study, did not release it on purpose because she said it would weaponize the argument from the other side. So in other words, it came out not the way you wanted the study to come out.
Yeah.
Not what you said, that it's, all the studies show that. No, it is a mixed bag. That's true.
Okay.
Some people, yes, it's the right thing. But to take that risk at that age before you know shit about anything, yes, sometimes it's pretty obvious that this should. It's a very hard call to make. And again, this was a very long study, very thorough, and they wouldn't release it because it came out with the wrong conclusion.
But the reason because it is a hard question, because it is a serious question.
Right.
It is a personal question. I don't want Donald Trump deciding. I want parents and doctors.
Well, you just said parents can get shut out.
Well, I don't think parents should get shut out. There are rare exceptions to that. Look, we all believe that parents should have.
I'm sorry. Why did he just skip over the study that Bill Maher just pointed out? Why did he not address that whatsoever? Why didn't you come out and condemn the fact that this person, whoever this person is, completely hid the results of this study? Why didn't you say anything about that? And this is another issue that I have, and this is way broader than this singular debate. There are terrible things that are happening on the left. I don't necessarily understand how you guys can just have the cognitive dissonance to where you just try to ignore that these things are happening just to prove your point. May there be good things that are happening because of some of these policies? Sure. But you can't just come out and completely ignore the bad stuff. And that's what a lot of these people do. And I'm tired of it, yo. I'm really, really tired of it. I'm going to end this video there because I don't necessarily think they get into anything much more thought-provoking. But to me, this whole conversation about transgenderism, it's a conversation we shouldn't be having because it should just be so very simple. But I think it's just an indication of how far off the rails our society have gone, in that we're literally sitting here arguing about what a man is and what a woman is. And I just don't necessarily think we should be doing that. But those are just my thoughts, guys. I don't necessarily want to make this video longer than it has to be, but let me know what you guys think in the comments down below about the entire situation, and what are your thoughts on transgenderism, especially when it comes to teaching people's kids about it. I want to hear from you guys in the comments down below. As always, I want to thank you guys for joining me on this video, because you guys could have been anywhere else in the world, but you chose to be here with me, and I really do appreciate you. If you liked what you heard today, do me a solid and like the video, share the video, and subscribe if you haven't already. Those things really do help out the channel a lot, guys. And if you didn't like what you heard, thanks for allowing me to occupy your time. Consider leaving a comment in the comments down below, letting me know exactly what it was that you disagreed with, and maybe we could talk about it. Either way, I appreciate each and every one of you guys for pressing play on this video, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.